what's going on? It's your girl T.I.E here with stands for Together Individual Entertainment. Okay, so today I'm doing a read-along again, and since it's a chapter book, I'll be going from day to day with a new chapter, and today is March 8th, so today's book is Magic Tree House number 43 by Mary Pope Osborne, Leprechauns Late in the Winter. Well, Leprechauns in the late winter, but you know what I'm saying. Basically, there's 11 chapters, and since today is the 8th, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do at least 3 chapters of this book to catch up on what's going on. So, let's start with chapter 1, and chapter 1 is, there are so many books in this kind of thing, and I did not even realize, but chapter 1 is actually a beautiful word. So, chapter 1. It was a chilly afternoon in late winter. Annie was doing her homework on the computer in the living room. Jack sat on the couch and stared at the blank page in his small notebook. He heaved a sigh. "What's wrong?" said Annie. "I had to write a story for school," said Jack, "and I'm stuck." "Well, you better get unstuck," said Annie. "Mom and Dad said we have to get our homework done before we go to the theater with them tonight." "I know," said Jack, "but I can't think of anything to write about." "Why don't you do what you love to do?" said Annie. "Go outside and write down some facts about what you see, then turn them into a story." "Hey, that's a good idea," said Jack. "Thanks." He jumped up and grabbed his coat from the hall closet. Then, taking his special pencil and notebook with him, he headed outdoors. The early March weather was sunny, but cold and windy. Jack looked around. Then he wrote down some facts in his notebook. Old snow in yard, sun sparkling on sidewalk. Jack looked up again. Treetops swayed in the March wind. Jack started to write about them, but when he looked down at his notebook, he nearly dropped his pencil. On the page were 2 large fancy letters, T.K. "Oh, man," whispered Jack. He dashed back into the house and into the living room. "Annie, look!" Jack held up his notebook. "Look at this." Annie stared at the page. "Old snow, sun sparkling, nice." "No, not that," said Jack. "The letters." Annie looked at Jack like he was a little crazy. What letters?" she said. Jack looked back at his page. "They're gone," he said. "A big fancy T and K." "T and K," said Annie. "Yes, for Teddy and Kathleen," said Jack. "The letters just appeared on the page when I was outside. They were there, really." "I believe you," said Annie. She jumped up from the computer. "Let's go." "Wait, I have to get my backpack from upstairs," said Jack. "Forget it. Come on. The treehouse must be waiting for us," said Annie. Okay, said Jack. He quickly shoved his notebook and pencil into his pocket of his coat. Annie grabbed her jacket. "Mom, Dad, we're going to take a little break from our homework," she called. "Okay, but make it sure we have to leave for the theater by 7, their dad called from the kitchen. "We will," said Jack. Jack and Annie headed outside. They ran over the melting snow in their front yard and up the sun-sparkling sidewalk. They charged across the street and into the Frog Creek woods. They hurried between the wind-blown trees until they came to the tallest oak high in the branches, was the Magic Tree House. Their friends from Camelot, Teddy and Kathleen, were looking out the window. "Hello," said Kathleen. "Hi," shouted Annie, waving. "Good trick with the magic letters," Jack called. "We thought you liked that," said Teddy. "I just learned how to do it." Annie grabbed the rope ladder and started up. Jack followed her. They climbed into the tree house and hugged the young enchanters. "So, what's up today?" asked Jack. "Where does Merlin want us to go now?" asked Annie. "Merlin wants you to go to Galloway, Ireland," said Kathleen. "Ireland? Cool," said Annie. "Morgan sent us to Ireland once before." "To the 9th century, said Jack. "Yes, well, this time you will go to Ireland in the 19th century, said Teddy. "To 1862, to be exact. Your mission is to find an imaginative and creative girl named Augusta." "Augusta doesn't know yet what her talents are," said Kathleen. "She lives in a time when it is not easy for girls to explore their creativity. Your mission will be to inspire her so she can give her gift to the world. What does that word mean exactly? Asked Annie. Inspire? Ah, here we go. "'Tis a beautiful word," said Kathleen, her sea blue eyes shining. "It means to breathe life into a person's heart, to make her feel joyful to be alive." "That is beautiful," said Annie. "You may need some magic to help you," said Teddy. From the corner of the treehouse, he picked up the magic trumpet that had helped them on their last journey. Only this time, Teddy handed the trumpet to Kathleen. She held the shiny brass instrument for a moment. Then she tossed it into the air. The trumpet spun like a whirlwind. There was a flash of blue light, and the trumpet was gone. In its place was a thin silver pipe with 6 holes. "What's that?" breathed Jack. "An Irish whistle," said Kathleen. "She plucked the instrument from the air. When you face a great danger, one of you must play it. It will make magical music, and anything the other one sings will come true. But remember," said Teddy, "its magic will work only once." "Right," said Annie. "Thanks," said Jack. He took the Irish whistle from Kathleen and put it into his pocket. "And did Morgan send a research book to give us information?" "Not this time," said Teddy. "Morgan wants you to draw upon your own experiences in life to help you on this journey." "No problem," said Annie. Jack wasn't sure about that. He lived having a book of facts to help them. "So, how do we find Augusta?" said Annie. "It shouldn't be easy to find her," said Teddy. "When you land in the country of Galloway, Ireland, just ask anyone for directions to the big house." "Hold on." Jack pulled out his notebook and wrote, "Country of Galloway, Ireland, Augusta, big house." "Got it," said Jack. "But how do we get to Ireland in the first place, if we don't have a research book?" "Point to the notes you just made and make your wish," said Kathleen. "And when you are ready to come home," said Teddy, "use the Pennsylvania book as you usually do." "Got it," said Jack. "Now go and help Augusta," said Kathleen. "She needs you." Jack pointed to the words Galloway, Ireland in his notebook. "I wish we could go there," he said. "Bye," Annie said to Teddy and Kathleen. "Farewell," said Kathleen. "Good luck," said Teddy. The wind started to blow. The treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Then everything was still, absolutely still. Chapter 2, The Big House. A cold wind blew rain into the treehouse. Jack shivered. He was wearing an old overcoat and ragged trousers. Annie wore a shawl and a long red wool dress. They both wore scuffed, worn boots. "So, where are we?" said Jack. He and Annie looked out the window. The tree houses landed in the tree at the edge of a green meadow, dotted with woolly white sheep. Next to the meadow was a narrow lane. It ran uphill between low stone walls. Through the drizzle, Jack could see mist-covered mountains in the distance, and the flash of a silver sea. "It looks like a scene in a fairy tale," said Annie. "Yeah, a fairy tale with a bad weather," said Jack. "I wonder where the big house is," said Annie. "I don't know, but I'd like to get inside it now," said Jack. "Me too," said Annie, shivering. "Let's go." Jack crammed his cold hands into his pocket of his torn coat. In one pocket he felt his notebook and pencil. In the other he felt the Irish whistle. "I've got the whistle," he said. "Good," said Annie. She held her red skirt and started down the rope ladder. Jack climbed down after her. Annie pulled her shawl tightly around her shoulders. Jack turned up the collar of his coat as they tramped through the wet meadow. He felt cold water and was sleeping through holes in his boots. Jack and Annie climbed over a stone wall onto a muddy lane. A horse-drawn wagon was rattling toward them. Down the hill, the wagon was filled with squealing pigs. "Excuse me," Annie called to the driver. "Can you tell us where the big house is?" An old man with a tired, rugged face pointed back up the hill. "Thanks," said Jack. The large wooden wheels of the wagon rumbled past, splashing Jack and Annie with mud. "Yuck!" said Annie. "Now we're cold and wet and dirty," said Jack. "Yeah, we're going to look great when we get into the big house," said Annie. "So what do we do when we get there?" asked Jack. "When we find Augusta, maybe we tell her that Teddy and Kathleen sent us," said Annie. "We'd like we told Louis Armstrong in New Orleans." Just thinking about their adventure with Louis Armstrong made Jack smile. "I don't know if that will work," he said. "His world seems so different from this world. There it was, so noisy and busy. Here it feels lonely." "Well, we won't know until we find Augusta," said Annie. "Let's go." Jack and Annie lowered their heads. They plumped up the lane, sloshing in and out of a giant puddle. When they reached the top of the hill, they stopped. The muddy lane wound down past more sheep meadows, and some cottages passed along stable and several barns. At the end of the lane was a large open gate that led onto the grounds of a white mansion. Gray smoke rose from the mansion's chimneys. "The big house," said Annie. "Maybe the people who live there will invite us inside to get warm and dry by a fire," said Jack. Jack and Annie started down the lane. As they passed the sheep meadows, black and white dogs barked at them. When they walked by several boys hauling wet. "Hey!" The workers looked up and eyed them suspiciously. Jack was relieved to get into the gate and head toward the big house. When they reached the front door, Annie lifted the heavy knocker and let it drop. A moment later, the door opened. A pale teenage girl looked out. "Who are you? Why are you here?" Started Jack. "Are you the ones the butler sent for?" the girl asked. "The butler?" said Jack. "Yes, we are," said Annie. "Then you should go around to the back," the girl said. Before Jack and Annie could ask for Augusta, the girl slammed the door in their faces. "Nice," said Jack. "I hope she wasn't Augusta," said Annie. "Why didn't you tell her yes?" asked Jack. "It is a way to get inside the big house," said Annie. "Come on." Jack and Annie tramped through the mud to the back of the mansion. They stopped at the door beneath a large smoking chimney. Annie knocked again. This time a young red-haired girl in a cap and apron opened the door. "Yes?" she said. "Is your name?" started Annie. "What is Molly?" someone called from inside. "Molly? So she's not Augusta?" thought Jack. "Who are you?" Molly asked them. "We're the ones the butler sent for," said Annie. "You?" said Molly, and she looked doubtful. "Well, come in and see him then." Jack and Annie stepped inside. "He's in the kitchen," said Molly. He started down the hall. Jack and Annie followed Molly into the doorway of a dimly lit kitchen. The kitchen smelled like fish and onions. Pots and pans hung from a long rack over a big wooden table. A stout older woman was bent over the table, rolling out dough. "Cook, here are the ones the butler sent for," said Molly. The cook looked up from her dough and squinted at Jack and Annie. "You're the ones he sent for?" she said. Yes, ma'am. That's us," said Annie. The cook turned toward the fireplace. Next to the fireplace, an ancient-looking man with white whiskers that slumped in a chair, snoring. "Mr. O'Leary!" The old man jerked and opened his eyes. "The ones you sent for are here," the cook shouted, as if the man were hard of hearing. The groggy butler peered at Jack and Annie. "I sent for you," he growled. "Not possible. I sent for a coach driver and a blacksmith." "Really?" said Annie. "I guess there was a mistake, but maybe there are some other jobs we could do around here." "Well, what are you good for?" asked the butler. "What do you mean?" said Jack. "Do you know how to sleep in the inside of a chimney?" said the old man. No," said Jack. "But like a chicken?" the cook asked. "No way," said Annie. "What about rats?" the butler said. "What about them?" asked Jack. They're all over the cellar," said the cook. "Can you catch 'em?" I don't think so, Jack." "Then you're no good to us here," snorted the butler. "Be on your way." At that moment, Jack heard the back door open and shut. A girl about Jack's age stepped into the kitchen. She wore a red cape and carried 2 large empty baskets. Her wet hair was parted neatly down the middle and pulled into a tight bun in the back. "Ah," said the cook. "Welcome back, Mr. Augusta." Chapter 3, Miss Augusta. Jack and Annie looked at each other. "Augusta?" The girl put down her baskets and took off her wet cape. "Did you deliver your cakes to the poor Miss Augusta?" asked Molly. "Yes, Molly," said Augusta. "I visited 7 cottages today." 7? In this weather? "You're an angel, Miss Augusta," said Molly. "Always so kind to the poor." "It is my duty, Molly," the girl said, "to help those less fortunate than myself." Her gaze rested on Jack and Annie. "And who are these poor children?" "They're looking for work, miss," said the cook. "But I'm afraid they're sodden creatures, not good for anything. I was just sending them away." "Oh, surely we must not turn them out so quickly, cook," said Augusta. "How tired and miserable they look." Jack didn't think they looked that bad. "We are tired and miserable," Annie said. Her voice sounded sad. Her shoulders sagged. "Oh, brother," Jack thought. Annie was really acting her part. "My poor dears, you must be both coming to the parlor and rest a bit," said Augusta. "We would like that," Annie said pitifully. "Follow me," said Augusta. "Miss Augusta, surely you're not taking those dirty children to the parlor?" said the cook. "We must always be kind to the poor, cook, no matter how dirty they are," said Augusta. "We should give them something to drink if they are thirsty, and something to eat if they are hungry." "You are too kind, Miss Augusta," said Molly, shaking her head. "Well, at least make them take off their filthy boots," said the cook. Jack and Annie pulled off their boots and socks and set them by the door. Their feet were red and raw-looking. Augusta took 2 peeled potatoes from the bowl and put them in her pocket. Then she picked up a lit candle from the hearth. "Come, let me take you to the parlor," she said to Jack and Annie. "Thanks, Augusta," said Annie. "Show some respect," the cook called after Annie. "Call her Miss Augusta." "Sorry," said Annie. "Thanks, Miss Augusta." Jack rolled her eyes. Why should he call her Miss? Augusta didn't look like she was any older than he was. Holding her flickering candle, Augusta led Jack and Annie out of the kitchen. The wooden floor creaked as they walked barefoot through a narrow hallway. "How are we ever going to inspire this strange, serious girl?" wondered Jack. "She acts as if she's already grown up and treats Annie like me and like babies." "We'll sit here, children," said Augusta. She directed Jack and Annie to a large room with heavy curtains and dark furniture. The pale teenage girl who answered the front door sat on a sofa, knitting. Another teenage girl knitted beside her. They scolded when they saw Jack and Annie. "What are they doing here, Augusta?" asked the pale girl. "Why are you bringing those 2 into the parlor?" "I've invited them to tea, Gertrude," said Augusta. She turned to Jack and Annie. "Pay no attention to my sisters," she said. "Please sit down." "Augusta, you have gone mad," said Gertrude. "You cannot invite these 2 ragamuffins to sit in here. Mothers will be furious," said Augusta. "Other sister, you're filthy. They're not even wearing shoes." Jack looked down at her muddy clothes and cold red feet. "Cook made them remove the muddy shoes in the kitchen, Eliza," Augusta said. "I only wish I had nice dry shoes to give them. Sit down, children," she said to Jack and Annie again. Jack and Annie slowly sat down. "You're going to get in trouble, Augusta," said Gertrude. "Mother will never approve," said Eliza. Both sisters shook their heads as they went back to their knitting. Augusta ignored her sisters and walked to a silver teapot on the sideboard. "Would you like some hot tea, my poor dears?" she asked Jack and Annie. "Yes, Miss Augusta," said Annie. Jack nodded. Hot tea sounded good. He still felt chilled from the cold wind and rain. There was a fireplace in the dreary parlor, but no fire was lit. Everything in the room seemed dark and gloomy except for a few books on the table. As Augusta poured tea in a fancy china cup, Jack leaned closer to get a look at the books. One was titled The Play of William Shakespeare. Another was called The Tale of King Arthur. Jack smiled to himself. Seeing those books titled made him feel like a little more comfortable. Augusta carried cups of tea to Jack and Annie. Then she pulled the potatoes out of her pocket and gave one to each of them. "Thank you, Miss Augusta," said Annie. Jack took a sip of tea, but it was too bitter and hot to drink. He took a bite of cold potato, but it was too hard to chew. "So, Miss Augusta, what would you like to do around here?" Annie asked. "What inspires you?" Augusta looked puzzled. "I do not know what you mean," she said. "What about reading books?" said Jack. "Here, you read those books." He pointed into the tales of King Arthur and the plays of William Shakespeare. "Those belong to my brothers," I said Augusta. "The time has not come for Augusta to read such books," said the sisters Gertrude. "Not until she is older," said her sister Eliza. "Why?" asked Jack. "Mother says the tales of King Arthur and the plays of Shakespeare are not for young ladies," said Augusta. "Really?" said Jack. "Yes, but I'm afraid I sometimes peek at my brother's books," Augusta said to Jack and Annie in a low voice. "I love stories. I remember every story I read to hear." "I love stories too," said Annie, "and I love the books." The two older sisters smiled. "Keep striving, my dear," said Eliza. "Perhaps one day you'll learn to read." "I already know how to read," said Annie. "Jack and I read lots of books." She pointed to the books on the table. "In fact, we know tons about King Arthur, and we go see plays by Shakespeare with our parents. And one time we even acted in a play by Shakespeare, A Midsummer Night's Dream. It was our school." Jack broke in before Annie could tell them that she and Jack had actually met Shakespeare himself. A Midsummer Night's Dream," said Augusta. She looked surprised. "Don't listen to them, Augusta," said Gertrude. "I doubt these children have ever been to school. Such less acted in a play by William Shakespeare." "I suspect you are quite right, Gertrude," someone said. A tall woman was standing in the doorway of the parlor. She wore a long black velvet dress and stood very straight. There was an icy look on her face as she stared at Jack and Annie. "Old Mother," said Eliza. Well, those are the 3 chapters we got into with our first ever Irish theme book of read-alongs. So, I hope you enjoyed, and I cannot wait. Remember to like and subscribe my videos, and also get ready to follow me on Spotify, Anchor, YouTube, and Facebook. So, this is T.I.E saying, can't wait to continue our Irish theme, lead us. Bye!